It is constantly, zealotlessly, religiously repeated by the heliocentric side that solar and lunar eclipses suggest that their model is correct. Today, we're going to expand on that and completely destroy that ideology. So if you've got somebody that you're trying to wake up to the true shape of the Earth, and they say that solar and lunar eclipses suggest that we're on a spinning ball revolving around the sun, feel free to share this video with them. First, we're going to talk about solar eclipses. For anybody that watched the October 14th solar eclipse, I will have a video that I'm going to play from NASA of their live stream of it. I want you to notice when I play this live stream what direction the celestial body that goes in front of the sun is moving, and ask yourself, does the moon ever move like this?
Starting first in the United States and then following, and I mean, what a NASA broadcast, right? And so thank you.
Large this area of partial eclipses, this
everyone is just excited about this eclipse and
away. What I think is super cool, we've even got some full. In addition to that, I mean, we really.
I think I heard you say it, Michael. It's about the community and being communal.
If you were fortunate enough, which I was, and I was actually in the path of totality as well, if you watched the solar eclipse, the node, definitely not the moon, came from top to bottom. When do we ever see the moon move vertically in the sky? Please share one video with me on Instagram. I'd love to watch it. Whenever I've watched the moon, and I watch it a lot, it only moves horizontally in the sky for some reason. But I'm supposed to believe when I watch with my own eyes that solar eclipse, the moon moved from top to bottom over the sun? That never happens. Debunking the heliocentric claim that it's the moon.
But you've got the evidence.
Oh, Rainey. Proof is useless unless it's proof of something people already want to believe.
Now look at this. We're to be wise as a serpent. Let's look at what they show us, which is truth in plain sight. If you were standing over here when the eclipse occurred, it would come, the bite on the face of the sun would appear like that. You're over here, it would be opposite almost. See how this works? And watch, if I mute this and play it a little bit, you'll see how they show the bite moving. See that? See how it's rotating from here to here? Now, anyone that's played baseball knows a curveball is a pitch that's used to trick and deceive the hitter. I call these curveballers that want to believe in this lie that, oh, that's normal. The reason you see it different is, look, I'm way over here, 1,600 miles away. That's why, the curve of the earth. No. They show you what you see, but they never explain it. They can't explain it. And that proves it's a lie. I've looked at several of these eclipses, 3 of them. I'm not blind. So here's what I wrote to this fella here in Beatrice. I said, I wonder why the bite on the face of the sun was opposite from your location compared to Omaha. He's in Beatrice. I've got video of that. I put that up on one. You can see it on my BitChute channel. It's shadow banned here on YouTube. Either the firmament or the earth is a triangle. Wake up from the lies of this world. Symmetrical parallax can't occur that far north on the ball. That's why they don't claim parallax, because that could only account in between the tropics. It wouldn't be symmetrical way up in the northern hemisphere, 40 degrees north on a ball. That must be why they don't speak about it. They can't explain the bite flipping. They show it, and then they start with the BS about hurting your eyes if you look at it. You can see it is a completely smooth orb if you view it with your own eyes. Not much of a sign if you don't look at it. It's definitely not the moon. But wrapped up in that BS about you'll go blind if you look at it, they always want to talk about the Bailey's beads or the diamond ring effect. Problem is, if you'll study and you'll video it from multiple locations on either side of the center line, you'll see the diamond ring effect come on different limbs, just like it starts darkening on different limbs depending on where you see it. That's another proof that it's not the moon, because if you zoom in with a telescope or like a P1000, you can see there's limbs of the moon that are perfectly smooth. No so-called mountain ranges or craters to account for this diamond ring garbage. So you gotta question everything and hold fast to that which is true. We're told by Jesus that we are to be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves. To that end, let's search diligently in the Word and rightly divide the word of truth as we are told by the Apostle Paul. Matthew 16 here, for example, in the King James, states the Pharisees came and tempted him and desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. Jesus said, a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it but the sign of the prophet Jonas. Now, when you research into what that was, you can go over here to Wikipedia. The date is off because of the Julian calendar. This here says 762 BC, and they say it's 763. Let's get down into the details of it. You'll see the biblical scholar David Wiseman has speculated, not speculation, it's confirmed. The eclipse took place around when Jonah arrived in Nineveh and argued the people to repent. Otherwise, the city would be destroyed. This would explain the dramatic repentance of the people of Nineveh as described in the book of Jonah. Okay, they dressed up in sackcloth, put ashes on their head and repented, right? It's not because he told them he just got spit out of a well. The truth is hid in the omissions, folks. Just look at what they omit. What are they omitting? The moon is not moving. See, but they tell us the moon moves in the opposite direction we see it. They don't want to draw your attention to that because that's kind of absurd. So they hide that. They hide what it would look like to the people on the ground. They don't show how it can go from south to north, west to east. That's what they omit. You just keep looking. All they give you is BS cartoons, folks. They employ the best and the brightest. Why don't we have a full-scale AutoCAD 3D model depicting how all three magical space balls move to create these zigzag paths on the ground, people? See, instead we get these BS cartoons. And that's what I commented here. Billions to produce cartoons? Wait, don't they have the best and the brightest? Why can't they show us a full-scale AutoCAD motion model of all three magical space balls in motion, creating this magical zigzag path on the ground? I know. We could file a FOIA request, and they would have to release it to us. Then we could prove it is BS. Liars. And look, people, right here, we're at 41 degrees north, and you have symmetrical parallax between these two places. Now, if you move this observer right up here, just south of the center line, and this observer right down here, just north of the center line, they would see the same thing. All these people, just move them closer together, they're going to observe the same thing depending on your location. They don't show what it looks like real close so they can obfuscate the truth. And the die-hard curveballer will say, I know why it does that. It's the curve of the earth. No, stupid. No, can't be. They don't like to show all this. See where it is this time? See what it appears like all over? You can go check. There's video people took. LA, Kansas. I've seen them. this is what it looks like. That's why they show this to you. But you won't see a depiction of this on the national broadcasts. That is all omitted because that doesn't correlate to their story. You can't have that sort of symmetrical parallax if the Earth is a ball. Anyhow, I thought it would be just more mind-blowing if I got as close to the other footage that I was going to get up here on the other side, to blow people's minds at how much it moves on the limb of the sun when it comes on. Now, I didn't really stay for it to come off. I started driving up here, these various locations, and I think I got this far when I took the last picture of it coming off. So there's video out there all over. The Valley of the Gods is what this place is called. Hundreds of people. Didn't have time to contact, more than 8 or 9 folks. The Valley of the Gods. There's a dirt road that goes all the way through here. Spoke to this fellow over here, so his footage is different. But what I'm going to show you is footage from this location right here, approximately, and my location right here. So you can see that from my location, it came on from directly, if the face of the sun is that of a clock, from the 12 o'clock position. Whereas the video footage here comes on from 1 o'clock. I just want you to all notice here the azimuth, 116. All 3 locations looking the same direction. Just wanted to point this out so everyone can see the azimuth. We're all looking the same direction, but the light on the disk of the sun is coming on a different limb. Again, only the firmament can explain that. An open sky vacuum cannot. And there you are. Azimuth and altitude, same. When it begins, it came from the top. I want to go over the absurdity of the distances here, just to rub it in the curveballer's face. We're only 4 1/4 miles apart as the bird flies between the Explore It, my video, okay? Less than 5 miles. Straight line shot with the center line going between us. This spot here is 20 miles away from my location. But what I'm going to show is Kerrville. That's almost 800 miles away. But it's virtually the same as the Exploratorium footage. I mean, for all you curveballers claiming the Earth curve is what changed the bite on the disk of the moon, doesn't change much in 800 miles, even though we've got all that curvature of the Earth between it. So allow me to go over these observations from the annular eclipse of October 2023. This Explore It is where this video footage was shot in the Valley of the Gods. And as you can see here, 4 1/4 miles away as the bird flies, my location near Goosenecks Park. And then another 20 miles south of that is the KOA campground. Okay, that's this footage. Notice a slight rotation. The center line of totality went in between these 2 locations here that you see with the cursor. Look at the bite over here at 2 o'clock versus noon versus maybe 12:30 from this position at KOA. These 2 are both on this side, the west side, center line of totality. This is on the right side. But now, I want you to see when I zoom out here, I'm going to bring in 2 other vantage points. One is Albuquerque, New Mexico. Look here. It's at the 1130 position. Okay, you see where it is on the map? Right of all three of these. But yet it's rotated over here at the 1130. This is 1230. Okay, now the third or the fourth point vantage that I'm going to bring up, this vantage point, 774 miles away from Kerrville, Texas. Look here, again, 1130, just like Albuquerque, New Mexico, but different from these other ones that are so close together. So my question for you curveballers, how can it be with your sky vacuum that we can measure the air pressure change from below sea level, at sea level, to 35,000 feet, and you in an airplane, pressurized vessel, because there's not enough air to breathe outside. And it's very, very cold if they didn't pressurize the plane. So given that, tell me, curveball, how does your sky vacuum produce this? Because we know the firmament can produce this. Just like the firmament can produce repeatable observations of a bowl of water with a mirror in it and sunlight coming through a window, you can reflect a rainbow up on the wall. Similar experiments can be done with a glass of water. You can take an object drawn on something behind it and move it around just by filling the glass with water. These are repeatable observations, which is the heart of real science. But your pseudoscientific claims of a space vacuum can never reproduce this image that we see. But as the Bible says, the firmament showeth his handiwork. Sky vacuum will not produce this. Remember, there is a 18-degree window for the eclipse to happen in, and this all occurs on the node, on the ecliptic plane. This is the primary reason why NASA will only give you a cartoon and never a full-scale motion model of this occurring, because they cannot reproduce it with a sky vacuum. Only a dome will reproduce this image 4 miles apart. Look at this. Why would it be on the 2 o'clock position limb up here 4 miles away from here where it's at the 12 o'clock? And then look at this. Albuquerque at the KOA campground there in Arizona, completely opposite, because it went in between them. Path. And why would the path go down that way? And not only that, why would the diameter of an annular eclipse be over 116 miles wide when in 2017 it passed up much higher over Wyoming, and that was only 65 to 70 mile wide diameter? Again, that defies your umbra abracadabra umbra penumbra shadow as an explanation, because they claim an annular occurs when the moon is farther away from the earth than a total eclipse. So therefore, the shadow should have been bigger for the eclipse of 2017, not the annular. But yet we had 116 diameter shadow here on the earth versus a 65, 70 mile shadow. Several anomalies like that, when you look into it, refute this, just like all the other video tidbits I've shown you, that those observational evidence prove that the MSM story isn't lining up with the observation. Let's just say it like that. I want to stress these rabbit hole truths, if you will, that nobody is really aware of. The fact that this video on the left was never seen nationally until this date, 1975. JFK occurred, I believe, on November 22nd, 63. All they ever showed up until the video was seen here on national TV with Geraldo Rivera were still pictures from Time Life, who apparently bought the rights and then years later sold the movie rights back to the family or some such chicanery. But the point of me showing you that is to get you to understand how they told you it really occurred. So knowing what I've just stated, this fact, I want you to look as Dan Rather over here describes this video. The third total shot. He's describing the president's reaction after the third shot hit him. Look, his head's going down. He says the president's head went forward, violently forward. What did you see? I saw his head go backwards. Look at his head here. Which way to go? Went backwards. What's he showing? Forwards. Wake up from the deception, people. So the same clowns that were giving you the scoop behind what they saw in that video with his head going forward, Dan Rather, are the same clowns that give us this stuff and want us to buy all of it. And many people are smart enough not to buy into this shit. Now, how did these clowns know this was going to be a reality before it was a reality? There's all kinds of what's deemed predictive programming in a lot of movies about this thing before it was a thing. I hate to speak this way, but if I don't, they might terminate the information without you being able to actually entertain the idea. That's why I bring up all these anomalies, because people can see through this fraud and know who was really behind it. And the other one, they can see that as well. That's why I showed you the JFK one. When you can see all of these things can't be as we were shown, why in the world would you believe fake space is real? When I can show you video and you can repeat the same video yourself, but they can't explain the video footage. There's no way their model can account for the bite occurring on a different limb. Allow me to use NASA's own information to drive this point home. This X denotes where the sun is at greatest eclipse. This is where the shadow is at greatest eclipse, okay? Now look at that. Intuitively, you would know if Earth is a ball, the shadow should be elongated up here, projected in the northern hemisphere with the sun down here. Everyone is facing south to see this event. So how can it come on different limbs of the of the sun? That just doesn't compute. Same sort of BS goes on with their explanation of the lunar eclipse. See, it only goes red when it's completely in this umbra shadow. It'll only be a partial if it's over here. It's all BS because they don't show you a model of it moving that way, people. They can't show you a full-scale model because you could download it and prove it's wrong. I've actually had a curveballer try to use AutoCAD to generate the eclipse shadows, give me the parallax. But he can't put it on the ecliptic plane. He has to draw it 20 miles north. And even then, he's giving you a false representation. Can't have that sort of symmetrical parallax. It should only happen at the tropics, people. You know this intuitively. And then look at this. This is the annular path that I videoed, right? And it went from north to south. Opposite, of what's going to happen in April 8th. It's going to go from this direction. Come on, folks. You never see the moon move that way. Here's another example. This path here, this shadow path, is 160-mile diameter, when the one in America is only 70. It should elongate. And for all the asshole lovers out there and the diehard curveballers, they can't explain that. These paths and their diameters, they can't explain. See this here? This is the annular path. 116 miles, I believe. That's not right, folks. You know this intuitively. This doesn't compute. This is a 116-mile wide diameter shadow. 2017 is 70 miles. 2024 is going to be 122-mile diameter.
Liar, liar, SpaceX pants are on fire. And that fire is so bright, I had to wear shades. So I'm going to let you watch this, see if you notice anything, and then we'll review. Supposed to be up and then magically coming back down and landing. And I continue to say these are balloons. I continue to say this isn't actually happening. And did you notice anything? We'll see if maybe you do after this clip. And play.
Did you know that fire doesn't have a shadow? A shadow is produced when a solid object blocks light. Fire is not solid. It's a really hot gas. And so light shines right through it, producing no shadow.
So it behooves you, if you want to come off as someone intelligent, it behooves you to know the two models, to know them inside and out. So when you do get into a conversation about it, you don't look stupid. Like, for example, when someone says, well, how do you not fall off the flat plane? Well, if it's covered in an extensive, a vast ice sheet, like what you're looking at right there, how would you fall off of it? For God's sake. And it's surrounded by an ice sheet that goes on for thousands of miles. We don't even know how far it extends. But the encyclopedia, if you look it up, it says, it gives you the longitude, I think, and latitude, and the height to what they call the firmament, the dome. It actually says that in the encyclopedia. So all of this evidence together suggests that something very strange is going on that warrants your investigation, at least. I mean, if you can't even give it a little bit of your time to try to understand it, I don't have the time of day for you. I'm not going to try to sit here and explain the entire flat earth theory